is Tatia. I'm part of the PEPELT team and welcome to my video today. Book of the month is Mr. Wolf's Pancakes. Sandy and Gail have already spoken quite a bit about the book and have shared lots of fantastic ideas and lots of points to focus on and what you could do. I work in teacher education, in primary teacher education, so my videos look at what I could do with this book in primary teacher ed to educate future teachers on how to use this picture book for English language teaching purposes with young learners. Now, I think it's a great book. It's got lots of potential. I think it's quite a big book. There's a lot in there. So what I would do is I would split my class of primary student teachers. That's it. That's the one I'm looking for. Mainly for two reasons. I'd like to, within my session, try and cover a number of different aspects, which I'll explain in a second. But also, I really like the message Gail focused on, the importance of sharing, helping each other, and sticking at it, and managing to do something, to complete something. And I think that's really, that message is important for young learners, but it's also important for student teachers who might not feel very confident when it comes to teaching English. And I think working together and achieving something, achieving a task and being creative and finding solutions is really just as important for them. So what I would like to look at are the three areas that Gail also mentioned, which were that the wolf can't read very well, can't write very well. So an activity based on reading and writing, which links to this book. And in here, of course, it was all reading a recipe and writing a recipe. Then there was the aspect of counting money and seeing if one has enough money and how much things cost. And then there was also the aspect of cooking, actually making the pancakes. And what I'm really interested in as well is the history of pancakes. So the history of pancakes, I think Gail touched upon as well at the end of her video when she was talking about the French crêpes, and which are delicious, and I'm sure we all know that. But I think there's a lot more, and I would like to see what kind of aspects of history we could find, or student teachers could find, to share with their class, and how they could link that to language learning and how they can link it to Mr. Wolf's Pancakes. So what I would like to do, I would probably have 4 groups in my student teacher classroom. And one I would like them to work on connecting this, looking at the history side, as I just mentioned. The others, I would like to look at the reading and writing, linked to recipe writing, what kind of activities could they create. The others I would like to, and vocabulary or grammar aspects. The others I would like to look at the counting and perhaps quantities that are required when you're cooking, measurements. And the other ones, the last group would look at actually making the pancakes. So, and I would guide them a little bit. I mean, Sandy mentioned things that we spot in the book. And I would strongly encourage student teachers to really work with the visuals here. So let me go to the other side. So when it comes to making pancakes, spotting vocabulary, what kind of activity could they create for students to really work with the visuals, to spot the different items that are required to when you are making pancakes. So we've got the scales, the mixing bowl, the wooden spoon, we've got the jug, and the verbs that go with it. So we've got the flipping of the pancake. Wait, here it is, flipping of the pancake. We've got the mixing, the weighing. So I think that's really quite interesting. This task will be a challenge for student teacher. This book, generally, they will be a little bit overwhelmed depending on which age levels they are currently teaching, because they're always immediately associated to the classroom they are placed in. And the student teachers in the Netherlands, they move from the younger levels, so they might be a few months with the 4 to 6 year olds, then they might be with the 8 to 10 year olds. So, but they will associate it immediately with their teaching context at that moment in time. So if they are with the 1 to 2 classes, so aged 4 to 6, they'll be a little bit overwhelmed. They'll be thinking, oh, there's so much language, so many words, they don't know. So this is all about breaking it down and really helping them see what they can do, how they can adapt it, working with mixed abilities. It's quite a challenge for them. The task will be a challenge. Now, what I will be looking for in the end, once we've exchanged all the activities, and I hope we come up with some really creative ones, will be activities looking at recipe writing, how we can create recipe writing tasks, what kind of language we're looking at. I'd also like to see, from a history point of view, if somebody can come up with perhaps asking children to bring in their parents' or their grandparents' pancake recipes, so that we could perhaps look at comparison. We can then link that to the comparing measurements, ingredients. How many eggs does your recipe have? How many eggs does your grandmother's recipe have? So I think that would be quite nice. I'd like to see also a little bit of role play, perhaps, that could be connected to this activity. Perhaps there's a way of creating a shop where we have the ingredients that Mr. Wolf needs, and we practice that student teachers come up with dialogues to help children actually practice their speaking skills when it comes to counting out the money, purchasing something. So, and I think those were pretty much my ideas. So it would be quite a rich lesson. I would probably have to perhaps even look at two sessions to work with this book in order to make sure that we've really got a good collection. But then also to see, when are we going to do these tasks? Are they going to be in the pre-reading? So is this going to be a task preparing for the reading? Is it going to be after the reading? What are we going to do during the reading? Are we going to read? And how are we going to read the book? So I think there's it is very rich, this book, but a lot of ideas and a lot of things that can be connected to it. As you can see, my video is a little bit shorter this week. I hope you don't mind. I hope you've enjoyed the ideas and you can see what my lesson would be like in teacher education. And I will see you next month. Goodbye.